All right, here we go. Ready? We're on chapter Tzaddik Daled, right near the end of Tzaddik Daled. Decided to use a bigger book today. Okay, we learned law number Zion that we're talking about boiling hot meat that you cut it with a milchika knife. So because you have here two elements, first of all, the meat is hot, and second of all, the pressure of the knife. It's called docheka de sakina, the pressure of the knife. So we say that all of the taste from that knife goes into the meat and it spreads through the meat. You have to have 60 in the meat against that whole part of the knife that touched the meat. That's what we said. That meat, the right. Of course, we're talking about okay. Let's do there's the Ramah. The Ramah said, "Kol zeh b'basar rotech b'kli rishon." This is only talking about boiling meat in the first vessel. In the first vessel. In other words, if you take a milchik knife and that knife became milchik, how did it become milchik? Let's say you cut boiling hot cheese. There was such a thing, I don't know. You cut boiling hot cheese with this knife. You made the knife milchik. And then afterwards you wipe off the knife, even if you wipe off the knife, and you cut boiling hot meat. So that meat now potentially can become totally isser if it doesn't have 60 times as much as that area of the knife that touched it when you cut it. Now we're supposing that that knife, though, is a ben yoma. What does it mean the knife is a ben yoma? That knife, milchik knife, it became milchik within the last 24 hours. And we're also supposing that that meat, now here we're going to get into a big argument over here, says the Ramah, that the meat has to be resting in a kli rishon. In other words, the meat has to be in the vessel that it was cooked in, or roasted in, or fried in, or whatever. It has to be in that vessel. But if you move that into another vessel, not. Now, we're going to get into this, an argument over here, and this is also relevant to the laws of Shabbos. And that's the law which is called a davar gush. Now, especially on Shabbos, you have the law of a kli rishon and a kli sheni. Are you familiar with this? Kli rishon and kli sheni? On Shabbos, we'll see. Maybe we'll learn the laws of Shabbos after this, but whatever you want, but we'll see. On Shabbos, there's a law of what's called a kli rishon and a kli sheni. Officially, a kli sheni does not boil. What's a kli sheni? A kli sheni is food that was removed from the vessel you cooked it in and put into another vessel. A food that's left in the vessel that you cooked it in and it's still hot, the vessel is still hot, that's called a kli rishon. The vessel is putting heat into the food. But if you take the food out of that vessel, the kli rishon, and you put it into another vessel that never was on the fire, let's say a serving dish or something, or a plate, then the vessel takes heat away. Right? It cools off the food. And therefore we say a kli sheni, food that's in a kli sheni does not boil. Okay, most people, some people say that only applies to like liquidy things. If something's liquidy, the oatmeal, cholent, and that you put into another vessel, that the vessel cools it off. But if you have thick things, even in the cholent, if you have pieces of potato or pieces of meat, then that's called a davar gush. It's called a thick thing, and it never is affected by the vessel. The Ramah doesn't agree with that. The Ramah doesn't agree with that. The Ramah will say that even if you have a thick thing and it's boiling hot, but if you take it from the vessel that it was cooked in and you put it into another vessel, it's no longer a kli rishon. It can be boiling hot. It's no longer Kli Rishon, and the law is totally different. Okay, that's just a point. We'll talk about that later if you want. All right. I think maybe we can safely. All right, let's here. Law number chet. Has anybody got a Shulchan Aruch? No. All right, you don't have to. We're only going to learn for 5 more minutes. All right, we talked about a knife, a milchik knife, cutting into hot meat. What if cheese itself fell on a meat plate? A meat plate. So then it says, well, if the top one is hot, nofel the taner panadash gavina afilu lecha became gavina chama, or let's say boiling hot cheese that fell on a plate of meat, then it only makes it forbidden kadei klipa, only the outer surface. Why? Because there's no pressure of a knife here. So therefore it doesn't have the power to make it forbidden any more than kadei klipa. All right, law number test is a little bit controversial, so I won't. It's talking about boiling honey in a meat pot. So some people say that the meat pot doesn't have an effect on the honey because it's a bad taste. Let's go over this law, and now we're going to go into chapter Tzadik Aleph. It's a bad taste. There's honey that has the taste of meat in it is not a good taste. So that's another example we had before of notain tam livgam, something that gives a bad taste, you call it a defiled taste. Okay. Let's just read this one law, and that'll be it for today. Aleph. Dagim, fish. Okay, is anybody with me? Are you? Am I speaking to somebody?
Yeah, of course we're here.
Good. Okay, I just don't know. I don't know. Okay, wonderful. All right, now we're learning the Shulchan Aruch. Very good. Okay, Shulchan Aruch Siman Tzadik Hey. Dagim ubeitzim, fish and eggs that were cooked in a meat pot. Can you eat that fish or that potato? He just took fish as an example because some people say that it's dangerous to eat fish together with milk and you shouldn't cook together with meat for sure. Taste is bad, but nevertheless, let's just take it for face value. You cooked an egg or you cooked a potato in a meat pot. Kederish al basar. In other words, not with meat, in a pot that you had cooked meat in, let's say an hour ago, and you washed the pot out. So now the pot is a fleshika pot. Can you eat that egg, right? You cooked an egg in a fleshika pot. Can you eat that egg with cottage cheese? Huh? The egg is fleshik, right? Can you eat it with cottage cheese? Well, you didn't really cook the egg with meat. You cooked it in a meaty pot. Now that egg is sort of meaty. Can you eat that egg together with milk or not? Let's see. Dagim shenizbashlo nitzlu b'kederish al basar. Fish that was boiled or roasted on a plate of meat, a meaty plate. No meat there, just a taste. Okay, let's just to get this thing clear, what's going on. If you would take a fleshika pot, that you used it, you learned this law, that you used it less than 24 hours ago, let's say 3 hours ago, and you cooked in it meat, and you washed it out totally, and then you cooked in it milk. Well, that milk would be forbidden. If you didn't have 60 times milk as whatever meat you cooked in there first, right? So we say the taste of the meat goes into the walls, and now you have to have 60 times milk against that meat. So the pot is definitely what we call fleshik. So that pot is a fleshik pot. And if you cook milk in that pot, then that milk is forbidden. So it gives out a fleshik taste. Okay, what if you cook a potato in that pot? Here he takes the example of fish. You didn't cook milk in that pot. No, you have a meaty pot, a fleshik pot, and you cooked in that pot a potato. What's the law of that potato? It's meaty, right? I mean, a meat taste came into it. Can you eat that potato with milk? So let's look and see. Dagim, fish. Here he says instead of potato, he says fish. Fish in his bashlo that were boiled, or nitzlo, or they were roasted in a pot of meat. Rechutza, a clean pot. Rechutza yafi, that was washed well. And there was she'en shum and davakbo. A pot that was totally spick and span clean. There was no oil, fat on it at all. And you cooked in that pot a fish. Muter la'achlam b'kotach. It's permissible to eat that fish or the potato, or whatever we have, in cottage cheese. Kotach is some sort of cheesy. Why? Mishum, because dahavi noten tam bar noten tam. Because the taste was a taste that was born of a taste. And both of those tastes were permissible. Noten tam bar noten tam dehitira. All of those tastes were permissible tastes. You had a taste of meat. Meat is okay. So we have meat was in the walls, and from the walls, what came out? A taste of meat. Is a taste of meat permissible? Yes. If that taste of meat would have come out into milk, into cheese, then it would be a forbidden taste. You can't have a taste of milk and meat and milk, huh?
So the taste of the meat went into the egg.
Right.
Okay, and now you can eat that with cottage cheese?
Yes. So it says the Mechaber.
Okay.
You can eat it with the cottage cheese. Why? Because both tastes, the taste that was in the walls of the pot and the taste that came from the walls of the pot into the egg, those tastes are permissible tastes. And permissible taste, we have a law, permissible taste becomes weaker and weaker the more it changes pots.
And you can eat this on a
customer.
And you can eat this on a milchik plate, or do you have to use a paper plate?
No, you can eat it in a milchik plate for sure.
And the same would go for fish. I mean, you're using the
fish.
There, yeah.
I don't know why he picked fish, because fish is a little bit of a problem, because fish are not
problem
supposed to eat with milk. You're not supposed to eat with meat. Nevertheless, that's what he picked to do.
Okay.
I've got a practical thing with this. Hold on. I've got a fleshik pot, and I cook fish in it. I cook a fish dish in it. Right. And I can put that fish though on a milchik plate, and then I get bread, and then I could have my challah with butter.
Yeah, for sure. Even more, according to this, you can eat the fish with cheese. Put the fish inside the cheese. Wow. You're not supposed to put fish inside the cheese. There's a thing with fish and cheese. So let's substitute instead of fish.
It's like a major upgrade in my Shabbos.
And let's exchange.
Finally, some practical Shulchan Aruch.
Let's exchange fish for potatoes, okay? I mean, I'm sure you're not going to have milk in your evening or morning meal, and Shabbos you eat meat.
Well, it depends which meal.
Maybe you want to have, I don't know what type of a meal you're going to eat milk. I mean, you'll have to wait 6 hours.
A lot of times we have, for the first meal and the second meal, we have we have fish or a dairy meal, and usually we like to have our meat for the third meal.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
That's whatever we do.
Let's exchange fish for a potato. If you cooked, according to now the question is, can you cook a potato in order to eat it with milk? That's a little bit of a different problem, which we'll talk about later. But according to what we're learning here, that if it's not barnat, you can use it because it's not barnat the hitira. Now, just 1 second. let's say you have a goy working in your house, and the goy, he has his own pots, right? And he cooks in this pot, he cooks rabbit. And he cooks rabbit in this pot, and he washes it out. There's no dirt in the pot, there's no this. And then he cooked in that pot, he cooked a potato. He cooked a potato in the pot. And there wasn't 60 in the potato against the walls. And then that potato, he cooked in a permissible pot. And then that permissible pot, he cooked a fish. And that fish, he cooked another. In other words, you have 6 times taste and taste and taste and taste. It doesn't get weaker. We don't say not bar not by forbidden things. This whole thing of a taste getting weaker and weaker is only if the taste is a permissible taste. Here the taste was permissible. It started out with meat. Then from the meat, it went into a potato, also permissible. So we have 2 permissible tastes. Because now, and that's in that potato or the fish that he says over here, this is a double weakened taste. It's a taste that was born of a taste. So therefore we say that it's now weak to the point where it's not considered, it loses its original identity. And it's not meat anymore. That is not, and you can eat milk with it. That's what the Machaber says. Right? But if that taste was was a forbidden taste, it was the taste of rabbit or who knows what, then it doesn't weaken, no matter how many times. So this we have broken now into the law of not bar not. We talked about this before, and now we're talking about it again. See you all, God willing, tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning. Thank you very much.